Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the iHeartRadio network, the #1 network in the United States of America. And also Big C Sports has been rated the #1 sports show in the universe. Today is it is March 6th, 2017, coming up on the month of spring. I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America. Thank you so much for following Big C Sports on the iHeartRadio network, and also across the pond in London, England, as well as Paris, France. Thank you for following Big C Sports. And you know I love you good old boys from Canada, our home and native land. Now, Big C, I don't care what you say about that. I'm hitting all the tunes on that one, but there's no one I love more than them good old boys down south in the land of the free and the home of the brave. Big C, how's it going for you good old boys down south?
Wonderful down here, you know. I tell you, we just got through celebrating Black History Month, you know, which is a wonderful time of the year that, you know, you have a month dedicated to. But even just so important, Charlton, we're nearing to the month of the women.
Yeah.
You know, celebrated and dedicated around the world, you know, to honor those females that have been in everybody's life, that have been most important to all of us, Charlton, the reason for all of our existence. Without those strong women that have provided for us, you know, from birth to nurturing us to manhood.
Yeah.
You know, none of us would be in existence. You know, we always honor our fathers, but our mothers are the most integral parts of all of our lives. And I want to say congratulations and thank you to all those beautiful, strong women of the world.
In fact, that's very good, Big C. In fact, just over the week, you know, we have the Big C Sports calendar coming out with a Big C Sports or iHeartRadio. Just met another potential prospect, Allison X. Very good quality. She's very talented, very smart, intelligent. And also when it comes to women are more than just, you know, sex symbols or beauty images. And there are times when people are actually able to run a business, or you can be someone like an Oprah Winfrey, or you could be someone like a Halle Berry, or anyone that's going to be about business and making business happen. And we know we had Hillary Clinton running for office, Big C, and all the garbage she had to put up with as a woman. But if you can, just expound a little bit more. You know, sports brings everyone together. Touch a little bit more on that thing you were telling me. Is it a women's march, Big C, for equality? Is that what it is, Big C?
Well, you know, women, you know, are striving more and more in America, Charlton, for equality. When we look at a lot of executives in America, Charlton, we have women leading some of the largest companies in America. You think about Yahoo.
Yeah.
It's run by a woman. You think about the NBA Los Angeles Lakers, Jenny Buss.
Oh, yeah.
A female, Charlton. You know, we have executives all over the United States, Charlton, that are females and that are leaders in worldwide commerce. You think about Janet Yellen, you know, the director of the Fed for the United States who controls interest rates in the United States, a female, Charlton.
Yeah.
So, you know, some of the world leaders, Merkel of Germany, you know, a woman, you know, France's new president is a woman. So when you talk about the dominance of females in society, not just American society, talking about the world as a whole, you know, these women now are receiving the acclaim that they should have always achieved. You know, when we think about women didn't get rights until the Equal Rights Act was passed. So in America, people thought it was just about blacks gaining equality and voting rights. That voting rights, Charlton, included women who had been devoid of that opportunity for decades in America. So when you look at the advancement of women, of all cultures, of all colors, Charlton, in America, when you look at sports executives, you have teams, Charlton, open leaders that have a female co-general manager.
Yeah.
You know, so
Amy Trask at the time. Yeah.
The world of sports, Charlton, and the impact that women have, you know, and we also have female NBA officials as well as even in the NFL, Charlton, and in the college ranks. So when we think about the advancement of these women and how integral and important they are in society, not just economically, not just socially, but even in sports, Charlton, that they are becoming a dominant force.
Yeah, and even you think about former California Attorney General Kamala Harris and her rise to political stardom, and also Nancy Pelosi. There's a lot of good things happening in our country, and women are at the forefront of it. And in fact, a lot of women are the heads of households throughout the country, and even though they don't get the equal pay for equal work, we hope that can change. And I know that, you know, President Trump signed a bill trying to create equality for women but I think everything he does for women is actually, it comes with a lot of cynicism, because he talked about grabbing women by the crotch and getting away with it, which we all know is called assault, Big C, but he never served any. Yeah.
A lot of the paperwork that he signs is frivolous, because, you know, if you look back at 1972 with Shirley Chisholm,
yeah,
an African-American woman ran for president,
yeah,
of the United States. So,
yeah,
you know, Hillary Clinton, she's advanced it further than any woman had done before, but the first woman to run for president of the United States was an African-American woman. So, you know, women have had rights and equality for a long time. I mean, you could never level the playing field in America. People say that you can, but you can't. Not in a male-driven society.
Yeah.
You know, there will always be advancements and opportunities. But to level the playing field, that means that the dominant race and culture would have to give up what they own.
Yeah.
They've never been willing to give that up in America, even for voting rights. I mean, when you look at America trying to draw back on voting rights, Charlton, in America, and that hurts everybody. Okay, when you talk about, you know, multiple documentation to be able to go in and vote basically from this last, you know, campaign.
Yeah.
You know, the people who won that, talking about the drawback from that. But there's so many people talking who have one form of ID, not three forms of ID. But that's very difficult, depending on where you live in a rural area or whatever, to obtain. Just to have that many forms of photo ID, it's difficult for the normal person, you know, talking about having a driver's license, a passport, and some other form of ID that has your picture with government listed.
Yeah.
Okay, that's almost an impossible task. What that is to strip voter rights, to strip equality rights. And so when you talk about doing that to men, you're also talking about doing that to women. So when a president wants to talk about equality, let's level the playing field as far as voting. That's the bill that he should pass, or the legislature that he should write.
Yeah.
More than anything else. If you have a valid state-issued ID in any of the 50 states in America, then you should have the right to vote. If it's a valid state-issued ID, which is a government-issued piece of legislature, okay?
Yeah.
Don't demand that someone has to have three to be able to vote. Because when you think about elderly people, talking people that are retired senior citizens
that don't drive, yeah,
they don't drive, so a lot of them don't have driver's license. So when you limit these people who have earned and fought for the right to vote for 60 to 70 years, then this is something that they have looked forward to, and you tell them they no longer have the right to do that. That's un-American, chocolate. That's fraud.
Well, Big C, thinking of being un-American, I just want to bring this up, is that President Trump, he's accused former President Obama and also Hillary Clinton for wiretapping him, and ironically, the claim got a lot of pushback from Comey. He's the Justice Department, and James Comey said this weekend that FBI Director James Comey, and he said this weekend that there's no proof of it, and they just think it's a flat-out lie. Now, here's a President Donald Trump. We know he's in a lot of trouble with Russia. He owns a bank in Russia, at least 20%, and he won't release his taxes because that shows that's part of an impeachment when you deal with the emollients law. But how can a president sign a law for women and then include his running? He was running against Hillary Clinton, saying that she's involved with Obama and trying to wiretap Trump Tower, which we know that you have to get a judge to sign off on that, Big C, and it's all false. So what's the pushback on Donald? What's going on with Trump?
Well, you know, you get to the point where, you know, you start to believe it all lies, and which lies is bigger, you know. You even look at his spokespeople, Charlton, they're coming out here, and they're worried about what they're saying right now because it's about their integrity and their future. Donald has been so used to being in charge of his businesses that he can lie and tell any story that he wanted to, Charlton, over decades. But now that you're in the forefront and the media, that he talks and he tweets without thinking, that shows this man's lack of aptitude.
Yeah.
That he can't do that. And so to sit there and make these allegations, you're the president of the United States, okay? So you have access to whatever you want. Why do you have to make allegations? All you have to do is make a phone call or an inquiry.
Exactly.
That are in the Justice Department or any security agency. And instead you wake up at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning and just start tweeting out stupidity.
Yeah.
But, you know, to challenge the integrity of President Obama, this is the man that Trump, you know, spent 5 years on this birthing room.
The garbage, yeah.
And lying around through the world and having the whole United States in all this trouble, and his cabinet's in all this trouble with Russia and plus other things, Jonathan, he is trying now to deflect that back to Obama once again. Obama has nothing to do with the problems that's going on in his cabinet and the leaks that are coming out of the White House. He's in control of that, not Obama.
Yeah.
So to blame somebody else for your wrongdoings, and if he throws Obama, which is the biggest fish that he can throw out there, trying to throw a smoke screen against all of what he's doing, and maybe because there was enough hatred for Obama from, racist individuals
Yeah.
in America that they may believe what he's saying that Obama did. Trump was not that important then, and he's not that important now, Charles.
Well, ironically, the former director of national intelligence, James Clapper, said he knew of no efforts to seek wiretaps against Trump. It's a flat-out lie, Big C. And obviously, I don't know if Donald Trump will make it past the first year because there's already a lot of people looking to impeach him. Now he's lying to Congress. He's lying to the judges, and he's also trying to usurp the power of the United States Constitution, and he thinks he can do it without anyone having any checks in place so that we don't have a theocratic government or autocratic government. He can't do that. But there's so many people, you either believe Trump or you believe the CIA, the FBI, or intelligence agencies worldwide. It just looks bad because I was hoping that Donald Trump would have been some of the change he was talking about, creating jobs. I was actually hoping for that, even though I really was a little bit skeptical. But now he has the former directors of the CIA and the FBI saying he's a liar. So at some point in time, that really hurts our credibility around the world. And while he's up tweeting, North Korea is firing a missile toward Japan, Big C. Your thoughts on that?
Well, they're firing missiles. It's like this job creation thing, Jonathan, you're talking about. ExxonMobil is going to create 45,000 jobs over the next 3 to 4 years, okay?
Yeah.
ExxonMobil had announced this in 2013 that they were going to do this.
That was under Obama.
Under President Obama. Trump comes out saying that, this is happening under his watch.
Yeah.
But Trump is not telling anybody today that GM is on 1,500 workers, okay?
Yeah.
And yet he was talking about the jobs that GM was going to create under his watch, but the day they announced that they're laying off 1,500 workers, and this is under Trump's watch. So things are not running as smoothly. Jobs that Trump is talking about that he's going to create and that are coming to America.
Yeah.
You have to understand, corporations in America have a business plan. They forecast 5 and 10 years out, okay, Charlton?
Yeah.
So these things that are coming to fruition now, they were forecasted over the last 5 years under the President Obama regime because these companies are putting these things in place. Obama inherited a lot of things from President Bush.
Yeah.
That Bush had put into place. They just happen to be enacted under President Obama.
Yeah.
And same is going on right now. Trump is not intelligent enough to enact anything in NFL, okay? I mean, in
United States. Yeah.
He's almost like Ted York and Trent Baalke.
Yeah.
If you want to give him a sports comparison, you take the most prominent franchise in the NFL that just come off a Super Bowl run 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And you dismantle it. If people want to understand what Trump is like,
Yeah.
look at the San Francisco 49ers organization in the past couple of years, getting rid of Jim Harbaugh and everything that made that organization great. That's what you have with Donald Trump in the White House right now. Getting rid of everything that President Obama has done to help make this country great and dismantle it, trying to say that I've done it. The thing that Trump will have when he leaves the White House,
Yeah.
where he has his little cap and slogan, "Make America Great Again," that's going to be the job of the person that succeeds him, Jonathan, is to make America great again, because he's going to tear it down to its shackles.
Well, I tell you, this is Women's History Month, and I think that Trump has taken the Air Force One to Mar-a-Lago more times in this first 2 months than President Obama flew that thing around in the first 6 months of his presidency. And I just want to say this segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you. Big C, we know it's been so much snow. And yeah.
Let me throw something back on this Trump scenario, and this is what America needs to understand. I know we're a sports show, but we also the political.
Oh, yeah.
Also, but, I mean, everything coincides. We talk about Trump going to Mar-a-Lago, which has been down there 4 times.
Yeah.
4 times at a cost of $3 million a run. And every time he goes, because you're not just talking about the flight of Air Force One.
Yeah.
You're talking about all the security, all the CIA and undercover people who have to be down there and prepare everything. You got to realize Mar-a-Lago is right next to an airport.
Yeah.
Okay, not only does it cost $2 million in security and travel and all that to go to Mar-a-Lago just for a weekend to hang out with his buddies, but you got to understand the money he costs locals is not being able to earn income. That airport has to shut down. You got to realize there's a zero fly zone around Air Force One.
Oh, really?
They not fly around Air Force One.
I didn't know that.
So the airport has to shut down. So all of those people who had, helicopter flights and trips that they flew people around for scenic views, they cannot work when Air Force One is in town. It has a 5 or 6 mile fly radius around Air Force One. So the airport there shuts down, which is only 3 miles from Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
It shuts down. So all of those people become unemployed for the time that Donald Trump is in Mar-a-Lago. This is not what he's telling the American public. He's talking about creating jobs, but he's creating bankruptcy for these people that are down there because he wants to hang out at the White House. And he said he would be working at the White House.
No, he's not working. Yeah, he's spending time working on his golf swing because is what he's working on.
And so, not only that, think about when his kids are flying around the country, talking about really around the world.
Yeah.
They have CIA protection, y'all. So if they're over in Turkey, if they're over in Italy, wherever they're going to do business, and the Trump company, they're accompanied by the CIA and about $100,000 a day security to follow these kids around. So he has 2 boys that he's out running around the country, as well as his son-in-law and a daughter, with 2 daughters.
Yeah.
So every time one of these kids travel something, that's another $100,000 in security a day. And they're traveling all the time. So Trump has to look at what he's costing the American people. So this is something that the American people need to look into. They need to ask their constituents what's going on in these scenarios. So when they talk about, what President Obama did to America, didn't do for America,
yeah,
they have to look at the cost that President Trump is costing them every day in taxpayer money.
Well,
he talked about he wouldn't be using Air Force One. He would use his own plane.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, every time I see him fly, it looks like this big blue and white.
Yeah. Maybe his plane looks just like Air Force One, Big C, and all the security. Maybe that's his private security, Big C. I mean, it's a weird thing, but we got to keep calling that out. I also want to say congratulations to the iHeartRadio network. The iHeart Music Awards was held on Sunday down in Southern California in Inglewood, and it was hosted by the great Ryan Seacrest, as well as Bruno Mars was there performing. The great Katy Perry, she was there doing her thing. Justin Timberlake was there, and we had so many great people, Hollywood actors and people that are big in the music industry. But I just want to congratulate iHeartRadio and the iHeart Awards show, because being a part of the iHeartRadio network, I never take for granted the fact that we're the #1 network in the United States of America, and also to have a show in Big C Sports being on the iHeartRadio. I know a lot of networks are starting to get bought out by iHeart, and they're trying to join the network from AM to FM stations. But to be here, it truly is a blessing, because the audience is so large, and you actually can do more real talk the way we do it here, unlike if you're on just a CBS or an ESPN station, Big C. So iHeart and all the great people, Ryan Seacrest, he did some work with Dick Clark. I think he also produced The Kardashians. I think he's the producer of that show. A little bit more about, Ryan Seacrest, Big C, and his success before iHeartRadio. Now it's even gotten bigger, Big C. Your thoughts?
He was under Dick Clark.
Yeah.
Clark taught Ryan Seacrest the industry. He brought him in, and he was his mentor.
Yeah.
For many years, and as Dick had failing health, Ryan took over. But under the tutelage of Dick Clark, he learned so much. And you spoke about The Kardashians. It is one of his shows, as well as two television shows. That's under his umbrella also. So Ryan Seacrest has been a dynamic businessman and entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And understanding where the entertainment industry was. Dick Clark really was one of the originators of television and music. Long before there was an MTV or any of these other programs, Dick Clark had American Bandstand. And Seacrest in as his protege.
Yeah.
Teach this young man how this industry moves and flip moves. And even American Idol, I mean, everybody remembers American Idol. That was a Ryan Seacrest production.
Oh, really?
He created it, so everybody thought it was Simon Cowell.
Oh, so did I.
He was just one of the characters on the show. This was a Ryan Seacrest production. So Ryan Seacrest is a very intelligent entertainment mogul. He understands where the pulse of the media is and entertainment. And he has grown in leaps and bounds. And you know, he's one of the main cogs of iHeartRadio talk. So when you think about a man who understands the landscape of media entertainment, that's Ryan Seacrest. I mean, I don't know if he has any equals out there right now as far as his industry and at his age as far as what he's doing.
Well, see, that's the great thing, too, about Ryan Seacrest. You just talked about all of the things that he's been a part of. I thought Simon Cowell was actually the producer of that show, but to see how much he's done, and he's a young man, and it shows a lot of young people. Sometimes in life, you got to say yes. When someone approaches you with an opportunity, instead of saying, well, this is what I normally do, or tell me more about it, sometimes you say yes, and then you change your course like an airplane in flight. You can change your course later, but you got to be involved in it, and I appreciate what Ryan has done. You know, whether it's Ryan Seacrest or Big C on the iHeartRadio network, or Justin Timberlake or Justin Bieber, you know, so many people, opportunity knocks, and oftentimes people run, Big C. That's what it costs a lot of people as we get into the world of sports. What have you seen as your impetus for being successful for over 40 years in this industry? What would you say is the main thing? Would it happen to be saying the word yes, Big C?
It's about pursuing. It's the pursuit of what you strive for in any field, Charlton. I don't care whether you want to be a farmer. It doesn't make any difference whether you want to be a horticulturist or even a farmer.
Yeah.
What you have to do is pursue. You have to pursue your passions. Well, when you look at athletes, Charlton, they're passionate about what they do. You know, you think about the NFL Combine.
Yeah.
That just ended this past week in Indianapolis. Every one of those young athletes were there in pursuit, okay?
Yeah.
They were in pursuit of the next level of their career. They went to Indianapolis with a passion, okay? That passion was to rule all those NFL executives and coaches.
Yeah.
That I am the best man for your organization to help you achieve the next level of success.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by pursuit and passion. Without those things, Charlton, it is hard to achieve. When you look at all these guys, they're not competing against each other at the combine, which a lot of layman people will think. Well, they're out there competing against another offensive lineman, they're competing against a defensive lineman, a quarterback. That was not their pursuit.
Yeah.
Their pursuits were about impressing those who make decisions, okay? That's what they were competing against, themselves and those who make the decisions. Because the impression that you have to make is to that team and its personnel. It's organizational personnel talking. You know, so you could be lining up and people thinking you're competing against a guy from another school. You're not. You're competing against the mindset of an organization trying to persuade them that this is the direction you want to go. And that's why if you have direction and passion about what you wish to accomplish in life, whether it's in business or in athletics, Charlton, you have a better chance to succeed.
Well, Big C, I appreciate you saying that. And oftentimes people wonder, well, how am I going to make it? How much money am I going to make? Don't worry about the money. Just do your thing and it will show up. For example, even with Big C Sports, you know, you're calling in from 3,000 miles across the country, Big C, and I'm here on the West Coast. You're on the East Coast, down south, Big C. And people have to understand that if you will just pour your heart into something, the same way Ryan Seacrest has done it with everything he's doing. He's still a young man, but under the tutelage of someone like the late Dick Clark, he was shown a lot of favor in this business. And it doesn't matter how many degrees you have. It doesn't matter how many resumes you send. It's always going to be people, and meeting the right people that will open the door. And if you're out there, you're going to find it, but you got to have the passion and the drive for it, Big C. And speaking of passion and drive, we look at the NFL draft, and, you know, there's so much talk about the Cleveland Browns and how they haven't had a lot of success over the years. Well, who will they take? They're looking at some linemen, some guys out of Texas A&M or Alabama, but if you were in charge of Cleveland right now, Big C, knowing what you do about the sport, where would you have your eyes looking to make that program better, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charles, your two buddies, Todd McShay and Bill Connor,
Yeah.
should draft this quarterback Trubisky out of North Carolina, who is 85 as a starter in North Carolina, okay?
Yeah.
Now, he reminds me a lot of Blake Bortles, who was down at Jacksonville. Everybody said he was the franchise quarterback in the next wave of the NFL, okay?
Yeah.
And Blake Bortles has never won more than 5 games in a season down in Jacksonville. You already know that NFL, in Cleveland, it's kind of like a dysfunctional organization.
Yeah.
That they have a hard time winning, but everybody in the NFL understands you have to have two staples for success. And if you look at any team that has been to the Super Bowl, Charlton, in the past 2 decades, those staples have been offensive line and defensive line.
Yeah.
Okay, Charlton? When you look at Miles Garrett out of Texas A&M, he is the most freakish defensive lineman that has come along in a long time. People talk about Von Miller and they talk about him. This kid, Charlton, was off the charts.
Yeah.
He weighed 270 pounds. He did about 30 reps on the bench at 225. He had a vertical leap of 41 inches. You think about 41 inches. That's NBA standard.
That's about how high I can jump, Big C, when I'm standing on the chair, Big C. I can get up that high.
But that's NBA jump contest standards, when you're talking about it. And running it in the 4.5 range, 4.6 in the 40. So when you talk about a guy that can make an impact, he can make an impact even though he would need help. But also look at Robinson, the big offensive tackle out of Alabama. Okay?
Yeah.
So I got to flip a coin between these two. I'm not going to worry about a quarterback in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Because I don't care who you draft as a quarterback. You haven't been able to protect him.
You got to keep him standing up.
Okay?
Yeah.
You went through 6 or 7 quarterbacks last year. So just to bring another one in to get injured because you don't have an offensive line.
So are you saying a good quarterback is as good as his offensive line, Big C? Is that what you're saying?
Well, he's as good as the number of stains on the back of his jersey also.
Yeah, that's funny too.
So you can look at it from that perspective.
Yeah.
When we look at Colin Kaepernick, let's use him for example. Everybody talks about how decimating of a year that he had.
Yeah.
Even though he was a 16-4 touchdown interception ratio. He had no help. He had no offensive line. When you look at the offensive line that the 49ers put on the field,
not very good.
This past season versus the one they put on the field 3 years ago in the Super Bowl, okay?
Yeah.
Only one offensive lineman remained, Charles. 1 out of 5 remained from 3 seasons ago that took you to the Super Bowl and had a 1,000-yard rusher in Frank Gore.
Yeah.
All right? None of those guys exist anymore in the NFL, not in the NFL, but in the 49ers organization.
Yeah.
So you had a team with 1 win, and that's why I talk about the offensive line is so important. When you look at the teams that made it to the Super Bowl, they had quarterbacks that were throwing the ball all over the place, but they also had decent running games. And that came through their offensive line. When you look at all the teams that were in the playoffs, Charlie, the key to their success is that they had offensive line. Yes, it's nice to have a pass rush. We saw that in Denver.
Yeah.
How good was Denver this year with just Von Miller rushing the passer, and they had lost 3 of their offensive linemen in the offense?
Made a big difference.
That team was not as good because they had lost 3 of their offensive linemen.
Yeah.
Carolina, other Super Bowl team, lost 3 of their offensive linemen from the previous year. So when we talk about building an organization, if you can't block for the guy who's running the ball or the guy who's throwing the ball, Pittsburgh Steelers, they invested a lot of money in their offensive line. Even though Bennett got hurt, Le'Veon Bell had missed some games from suspension and got hurt in the playoffs. But you saw how effective that team was with Dan throwing the ball to Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell when he had a 236-yard game.
Yeah, 236. Yeah, 236.
And that's because of the offensive line. So when you talk about the NFL Combine, I mean, they had a receiver from Washington run a 4.22 40.
Yeah.
Fastest in history. But you're running a 4.24 40. how the hell are you going to catch the ball if the quarterback's on the back?
That's funny. Well, I think at that point that you bring up the kid out of Washington, yeah, he's very fast. Reminds me of Ronaldo nearby. But that offense only scored 7 points against an NFL-style defense in Alabama, and they only scored 14 points against an NFL-style defense in USC. So both of those games, when I look at how they played against guys that are going to the next level, Washington lost at home to Southern Cal. I think it was 26-14, and they also lost to Alabama in the playoff game 24-7. I'm not leaving it all on the offense, but the fact that they only averaged 3 touchdowns combined against USC's, and Alabama's defense did his 4.2 speed help them score in those games. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, that's my point. You saw Browning, the quarterback, under a lot of pressure against Alabama.
Yeah.
He was sacked and he was hit on a regular basis. That's what we look at, Jonathan. Teams with healthy offensive linemen can go a long way. So when Cleveland wants to talk about drafting another quarterback, and I believe they've had 27 of them since they've come back into the NFL since 1999.
27?
27 different starting quarterbacks, so.
Wow.
So when you talk about quarterbacks, you know right now that the organization can't withstand a quarterback.
Yeah.
That's a wasted draft pick. I mean, they played 2 rookies last year, I believe. I know they played Hogan.
Yeah.
Out of Stanford. They also played the kid from SC.
Yeah, I still think they should go with RG3. I think RG3 is someone, because he has playoff experience. They're always looking for a guy out of college who's never played against an NFL-type playoff team. But RG3, if they can keep him healthy, that means they're going to have to keep him in the pocket a little bit, maybe run off the edges, but not run downfield, Big C. They can make him more like a Tom Brady who doesn't try to rush for 20 yards on a play, Big C. But that would make sense. They have RG3 he's seen the NFL defenses. He's seen what the NFL blitz looks like. He knows what it's like to play call and even audible against an NFL-style defense. Why not put your talents and energies into him and leave those college kids alone for a while, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, for college kids, talking about important, you draft an offensive tackle in the first round. You draft a center in the second round. Cleveland had some solid parts in the offensive line. They had 3 decent offensive linemen. But they need 2 more. So Richardson would be a solid move out of Alabama.
Yeah.
And you draft the best center that's available in the second round. Now you have the key components. You see, you can draft anybody after that, okay? Cleveland's going to have 11, 12 draft picks. So, you draft guys for need, not best player available. You draft guys for needs. You get yourself 2 offensive linemen right off the back. Don't even waste your time on the quarterback. There's enough of them out there in free agency if you want to bring another one in to be hurt.
Yeah.
They're available. You do that, you can find yourself a running back at any time that say they're valuable because they're black, so you can get them cheap.
That's funny.
That's what you do.
Well, let me.
Go out there, if I'm the director of player personnel in Cleveland, that's what I'm doing. Then you got to look at the love affair that everybody has with Tony Romo.
Yeah.
Why do you want to pay a 38-year-old broke-down quarterback $12 million to come in and play for you?
Isn't that?
Because you want to win right now.
Yeah.
Okay, that's one guy. If the rest of the team is not winners, Jonathan, how are you going to win?
Yeah.
Denver is not the Super Bowl team they were 2 years ago, okay?
Right.
Atlanta's not.
Right.
They have some people in place. There's nobody other than New England and Atlanta right now in line for the Super Bowl. I think Atlanta will be a 500 team next year because they won't get over the shock of what happened to them this year.
Yeah.
So when you talk about win right away, look at the last 10 years of Super Bowls, Jonathan, and how many teams have been to the Super Bowl. How many different teams, okay?
Yeah.
And how many teams have not returned that have been there in the last 10 years. So when you talk about win right now, if you're one of those lower tier, organizations,
yeah,
you're talking about winning in 3 or 4 years, not right now.
Yeah, and like you always mention, you got to have someone at some time, Big C, that can stand up and protect it. Look at the New England Patriots offensive line. There are a lot of no-names. Remember the no-name defense back in the day? But this Miami Dolphins, the no-name defense. But look at New England's Patriots. They don't have first-round draft picks, guys that were, 6'6".
They have 1 first-round draft pick, the left offensive tackle, Minnesota. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
People don't realize New England had 3 free agent offensive linemen on the Super Bowl winning team.
3.
3 of those guys were free agents. They were not drafted.
Yeah.
But what Bill Belichick did was
Yeah.
They had not what Mel Kiper and Todd McShay said were the best available players.
Yeah.
They never coached in New England.
Yeah.
They never sat in a player personnel meeting in Cleveland. I mean, in New England.
Yeah.
To know what New England's needs were. So to say that somebody would fit in New England, everybody on New England's offense that they had, Todd McShay nor Mel Kiper said that they were worth the #1 draft pick.
No.
They even worth being in the NFL.
Yeah, I still want.
Even the left offensive tackle, Fuller.
Yeah.
They said that was a stretch and a reach when they drafted him. Mel Kiper said New England wasted a draft pick on him.
Yeah, and it's funny how ESPN keeps putting those guys up there because maybe people know them, but if you do your homework, you know, most kids in college and when you take an exam, you got to turn in your homework and you got to see if you pass the exam. But with Kiper and McShay, they're just selling their name because I think you told that story where the monkey guessed and he got 8 out of 10 and Kiper only got 22%. Which one? What was it, McShay?
The monkey, you know, got 26 and I think the monkey missed like 3 or 4 as well. So,
and we
Mel Kiper plays the spaghetti theory.
Yeah.
Throw it up against the wall. I look good. I sound good.
Yeah.
My accuracy is a bunch of crap.
Now he doesn't look good, Big C. I beg your pardon. I know.
I'm talking about what he said.
Okay.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
The bigger his hair gets, the bigger his guesses.
Well, I understand that with the hair and all that jazz, but it just seems that, you know, they're always talking about firing coaches and trading players, and maybe ESPN should give other people a chance to come on and be wrong 80% of the time, Big C. Would that make more sense on the same guys over and over, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, I don't think that nobody else would be wrong 80% of the time. It's kind of a jumping. I mean, people get a high school kid that's going to have better accuracy.
Yeah.
What Kiper is.
Yeah.
You know, and so they will always do that, Jonathan, saying that this guy is, you know, it's almost like with the Washington Redskins today, Jonathan.
Yeah.
They give Jake Gruden a 2-year extension on his contract.
For what?
Okay?
For what?
2 years. I'm trying to figure that out. You're 21-5, or 21-26 as a head coach. You're 5 games under 500.
Yeah.
As a head coach.
Yeah.
And you get a 2-year extension. You already got 2 years on your contract.
Yeah.
And they give you a 2-year extension for what? You got 2 years to prove that you can or cannot coach.
Yeah.
And now you really got 2 more years, and why? You know, you got a quarterback that throws for almost 5,000 yards, Jonathan, okay?
Yeah.
You had 5 solid receivers, okay? Garcon, Jackson, you know, the tight end, Johnson.
Yeah.
You got running backs. You had 5 solid receivers and a solid running back.
Yeah.
And yet, you're under 500 this year.
And that gives him a pay raise. That tells every person in America, the next time you take your college exam and you get 45%, you should get a pay raise, right, Big C, or whatever they give them good old boys, Big C. That makes sense.
That's what Daniel Snyder said, Jonathan. You know, you make the playoff once.
Yeah.
Now, think about it. You were anemic 9-7 when you made the play. You made it by default because did nobody else want to go.
Yeah.
That's the only reason you made the playoff.
Yeah.
Was by default. And so now you're looking at this situation where you come back and you only win 7 games, Jonathan.
Yeah. He must have Jeff Fisher's agent, the one that kept him winning, and he only won like six winning seasons in 21 years, Big C. But we know we talk about that all the time, the white skin privilege thing, and there you go again. You can win, you can lose most of your games. You get a pay raise.
He got this privilege because his brother, you know, he's living with his brother Royals to a degree. You know, his brother won a Super Bowl, he's doing Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
And I think Snyder thinks it brings him some acclaim and favor.
Yeah.
But, you know, when you have that type of talent that Washington had offensively, and they had a pretty good defense, Jonathan.
Yeah.
And, you know, you had a chance to make the playoffs, but you lose your last 2 games.
Well, Big C, let me ask you this. I know he and Romo, they're always trying to find a spot for them. I think they're looking to push Kaepernick out because he went to a Super Bowl for them and on the only one since 1995, and they don't like that in San Francisco. But let me just take you down south a little bit of the border because the wall wasn't built yet, so a lot of the golfers were able to find their way down to Mexico City and in a great golf tournament. And you look at Johnson, and he held on to win. Dustin Johnson won $1.66 million, Big C, And I believe that none of that money was taxed 35% by the tariff. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Donald Trump is going to let him back in the country.
Yeah.
Because he's down there stealing pesos, bringing them back to America.
I was wondering, and it's a serious thing, too, when you think about this with this ban that he tried to put together another ban. But with any of the Caucasians coming out of Mexico have a hard time getting back across the border, Big C, if they're being treated the same way our country is treating Mexicans, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, I believe NBC was broadcasting this event out of Mexico, okay, Charlton?
Yeah.
So, look at this, if this wall goes into place, will NBC be able to go down to Mexico and broadcast sporting events? What type of money is Donald Trump going to cost these broadcast networks? Are we talking huge corporations?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden now, you go in and you say, hey, we can't go out and make money. You think about these golfers. You look at the tennis players, and tennis is worldwide.
Yeah.
I mean, you got international tennis players on every circuit, male and female. So, you're going to eliminate these people from being able to travel, from being able to come into the U.S. and earn income.
Yeah.
And there's also Mexican golfers, Charlton, that come in, to America and play in the PGA and the LPGA.
Yeah.
So, when you're talking about putting this ban in and golfers from the European blocks.
Yeah.
The Asian blocks.
Yeah.
So all of this stuff, Charlton, that you look at people, because we got to have this ban on vetting. If you declare a religion that you can't go and play in a tournament, the thing that America's not looking at right now, the Olympic bid comes up in another year or two, Charlton.
It may cost LA, Big C, with what he's doing right now with the ILC.
And LA was looking at the Olympic bid as far as the funding for this new stadium for the Chargers.
Yeah.
Upgrading some arenas. And they put a lot of things in place in LA already when you think about the arena on the campus of USC, the basketball arena, the Forum.
Yeah.
It's still there in existence. You got the Staples Center, UCLA, upgraded Poly Pavilion. The Coliseum is still there for events, but they're also talking about building the new stadium.
Yeah.
Which should be the host ground, Charlton, for the Olympic Games.
Yeah.
And so with this downtroddenness on this ban, Charlton, America needs to understand the economic impact that it will cost America if you don't have the Olympics, and especially in California and the United States as travel as a whole. What is this going to do to world sports when the IOC say, hey, America's not worth dealing with. We'll give it to the second best country.
Yeah.
So America, they say, let's make America great again. Donald Trump needs to understand world politics. Not running from Trump power, but world politics.
And when you think about it too, Big C, and we talked about being down in Mexico, in fact, they pulled out of Doral, and Florida kind of like pulled out of there. That's why this tournament was played in Mexico, Big C, in Mexico City. I just want to mention that Johnson, who became number one when he won at Riviera in his last start 3 weeks ago, he also joined 5 other golfers who won as their debut as number one. That was Greg Norman back in 1986, Ian Woodsman back in 91, David Duval in 99, the great Vijay Singh in 2004, and then Adam Scott in 2014. Phil Mickelson and McIlroy shot a 72 in this one. I think Brant Snedeker shot a 65. But when you have golfers, primarily Caucasian golfers, can fly all over the world, there's never any worry about them coming back into the country, Big C. I just think it's unfair that we've had this political change only since the inauguration of Trump, and it's not fair because, like you just mentioned, the Olympics, LA could lose the Olympic bid just because of this xenophobic and this ethnic and this religious ban that Donald Trump is pushing. I do want to say this final segment is sponsored by Athletic Insurance through Ben and Mark with Big C Sports, and we can insure any professional, any collegiate, or any high school athlete. Just tweet out to Big C Sports on the iHeartRadio network. Also follow us on Twitter at Yes Charlton every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time worldwide on the iHeartRadio network. Big C, the last thing I want to close out in our last segment, I know we got March Madness coming up, but can you tell me UConn, kind of under the radar now, they've won 106 state. Gino Auriemma, 31-0 this season. They're the number one seed in the women's going for another national championship. But he's still under the radar because he's so good. Is there a chance they could be knocked off maybe by Stanford this year in the tournament for the women, Big C?
Well, things about UConn is that they're so great and so consistent that people almost don't pay it attention anymore. It's like it's expected.
Yeah.
If you go back to Wilt Chamberlain, his numbers were so gaudy at one point in the NBA where he was averaging over 50 points and over 20 rebounds during the season. Everybody just expected it. No one thought about it when Wilt scored 65 points in the game and had 32 rebounds. It's just Wilt having the game.
Yeah, just Wilt being Wilt.
It's almost like with the UConn women. The Huskies are such a spectacular team and organization and university, and Coach Ariema is the pinnacle of what coaching should be.
Yeah.
It's the epitome of everyone's eyes as far as success goes, Johnson. And the women under his tutelage, and this just resonates on women's month, Johnson.
Yeah.
It's what they can be. When we talk about aspiring and having direction, that's what you get from the UConn female basketball team, Johnson. Is having direction and desire. They desire to go out and do the best every night, not to just play a game.
Yeah.
But they desire to go out to be the best team on the floor. And that comes from the tutelage of their coach, Johnson. Ariema has done such a masterful job. But you think about 106 consecutive victories. People have to look at the amount of time that is spanned. That's 4 seasons, Johnson.
Yeah.
That's 4 seasons of victories that you've achieved. And to be 31-0 again this year when they were undefeated last year, Johnson, in search of consecutive national championships, you have 4 women, 2 women on that team that's been a part of every victory of that 106.
Yeah.
And that's a great attribution to them and the academics of UConn, Johnson. But, to think about it, it's hard to say it's 106. I only think I have 106.
Yeah, I don't think you do either, Big Z. Well, let me ask you this question. Tonight in the NBA, we have Orlando. They're a 1.5-point favorite over New York. Cleveland's favored by 8 over Miami. Milwaukee's 3 points favorite over Philadelphia. Detroit's a 4-point favorite over Chicago. Golden State, they are a 6-point favorite over Atlanta. Minnesota's favorite by 4 over Portland. That should be a decent game if you're looking at that one. And then also Charlotte, they're favored by 3 over it looks like Indiana. Memphis favored by 12 over Brooklyn. San Antonio's a 4-point favorite over Houston. That should be a good shootout down in the Southwest. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Jonathan, when I look at these NBA games this time of the year and I see players sitting down, the superstar players, Jonathan, that we're starting to get a lot of.
Yeah.
And I can understand from a player's perspective that you need a little rest, you might be a little nicked, and you want to get ready for the playoffs and you want to be as healthy as possible for that run, however long it may be.
Yeah.
But also look at it from a fan's perspective, Jonathan. It's like Miami did, Cleveland did in Miami tonight.
Yeah.
Now, that game is most likely a sellout, Jonathan, because those fans, LeBron helped build that organization, 4 consecutive NBA final runs, and he's gone. So they only get to see him now once a year, maybe twice a year, Jonathan.
Yeah.
And so that arena is sold out on those nights. And to not have LeBron out there playing, and yes, there's a lot of love in Miami still for LeBron.
Oh, yeah.
What he did for that organization, taking it to the pinnacle, back-to-back championships. But also there has to be some despair in the fans' mind, Jonathan. And I saved his hard-earned money. I've saved for this one game this year that LeBron's going to be in town.
Yeah.
There's a couple games on the calendar that every fan wants to see, with certain teams coming in. Golden State coming in. Houston coming in now. San Antonio coming in. Cleveland coming in town, Jonathan. The elite teams, Boston, of the NBA. I want to see these teams, and there's players that you can recognize.
Yeah.
But now with LeBron not being in there, how do the fans feel? Do they feel jilted? And we know that LeBron is the greatest player of the world, and he's played more minutes than anybody else, and he deserves some time off.
Yeah.
But those fans who pay that money, the premium money, for the premium tickets for this showcase game, and this game is not what they get, should not the NBA and the teams look back to these fans and say, hey, because why you paid to come to decided to take a night off and stay at home in Cleveland, we're going to give you back 50% of your ticket value. I think that's only fair for professional teams. If a player is not injured, that he's taking the night off. And I don't care which organization, not just Cleveland. I'm not pointing fingers at LeBron, Johnson.
Yeah.
I'm pointing the finger at the NBA and what the commissioners have allowed, starting with David Stern and continue with Adam Silver.
Yeah.
Is that you allow the leaders players to take the games off that they feel that they don't want to travel to and not having any reparation towards the team.
Well, Big C.
I know they went after San Antonio
Yeah.
some years ago when Popovich did that. They fined it, gave him $250,000 and fined the players. I think there should be a standard.
Well, that's
the NBA, when these players sit down,
yeah.
the NBA does that to the team and the players. So.
Well, that's a very good point. We also have Utah favored by 7.5 over New Orleans, Denver by 13 over Sacramento, and the LA Clippers by 5 over Boston. I also want to say this is Happy Women's Month. We want to celebrate women not just this month, but year-round. And you can find it every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the iHeartRadio network, the #1 network in the United States of America, and Big C Sports voted the #1 sports show in the universe according to Big C and them good old boys. I also want to tell you that every Monday through Friday, you can find us telling you there's never any excuse for any violence against women. There's zero tolerance for domestic violence against women. No grabbing women by the crotch. If you see any woman going through that garbage, just call 911 because no woman should have to deal with that garbage all on her own. And as we always tell you, every program on the iHeartRadio network, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.